All right, we unpacked this one with two of the best in the business. That's our guys, Ryan Wilson and Bryant McFadden. Guys, I want to talk about both sides of the ball here for Tampa Bay, but let's start offensively. A lot of omissions due to injury, and still they're in a ball game to the final seconds. B-Mac, when you take a look at this one, do you throw it out in terms of some of the offensive inefficiencies because of those guys that were lacking? Do you get the benefit of the doubt from you?
No question. I got to keep it real. I know Tom Brady's the best to ever do it, but man, he needs his star wide receivers like we all need air. He can't prosper without them. I mean, right now, you look at what he had today. I mean, Russell Gage had 12 receptions on 13 targets, but it was just a who's of who that he had the luxury or the misfortune to throw to. And because of that, the offense was not there. Then outside of the injuries to the wide receiver positions, what about the running game? What about the balance? They can't run the football. Their offensive line, they're having issues as well. So me personally, they have a lot going on offensively, and I think some of the majority of their problems are just due to health. But they got to find a way to get healthy extremely fast because their defense can only do so much. Let's keep it real. Their defense basically they've carried them the first 2 weeks of the season, and they basically carried them for 3/4 of this ball game today. But Aaron Rodgers and his team offensively, they found a way to make that one extra play than that they needed. And because of that, we saw a huge win for Green Bay.
No, that's right, B-Mac. Here's the thing. So Green Bay had 14 points at halftime, didn't score another point the rest of the game. If you said that Tom Brady would have the ball on the 2-yard line with a chance to tie that football game, you would have wondered what had happened in the ensuing 59 minutes and change, and you laid out exactly what it was, the lack of playmakers around Tom Brady. We saw the frustration on Tom Brady's face. We've seen that look before. If you go back to 2006, Joe, that Patriots team had no one for Tom Brady to throw the ball to. The next year, they got these guys named Randy Moss and Wes Welker. They went undefeated until they met the Giants in the Super Bowl. This is a different time for Tom Brady. He's 45. Who knows if he'll play after this season? But he needs to get those guys back healthy. And to follow up on what B-Mac said, I don't think this tells us anything about the Buccaneers any more than it tells us about any team full of superstars who get hurt. It's hard to win that way. We just talked about the Chargers. Same thing applies there. So need to get healthy, need to figure out a way to keep this thing together with duct tape in the meanwhile, and then get things going when you get your guys back on the field. I think the biggest takeaway for me, Joe, is that week 3 seems to be the point where players are not available for their teams around the league because the injuries have started to catch up with them after 3 games.
Yeah, we get 3 weeks of a sample size and teams start to form identities, but when you are missing such important pieces, that's another story. The parallels between these two quarterbacks, it's kind of uncanny. A pair of aging quarterbacks who don't have much rope left out in front of them. They have one goal remaining, and that's to win one more Super Bowl. They're struggling to score points in the absence of pass catchers. And here we see them hugging at midfield, sort of a cold embrace. Quick, a word or two. Is this the class of the NFC right now, Ryan Wilson?
Yeah, I think so. I hesitated for a moment just because of the young up-and-comers, mostly in the other conference. But it's hard not to say when you're starting a football team, and we have these conversations every week. Those are 2 of the names that come up first, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And it's funny, Joe, we just spent the last 2 minutes talking about Tom Brady's lack of weapons. Aaron Rodgers has been lamenting that fact for 3 weeks now, and going into the offseason when Davante Adams thought Las Vegas would be greener pastures. I wonder if Davante Adams will like a time machine at this point, but we'll find out about that. But I think that the most impressive thing for me is that Aaron Rodgers, after being unhappy in week 1 with the way things went in Minnesota, and he made that visibly clear on the sidelines, has sort of gritted his teeth, given the ball to his young playmakers, leaned on Randall Cobb and Robert Tonyan in the meantime, leaned on the running game with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and found ways to win games in extremely ugly fashion. The defense has also been critical to the success as well in Green Bay. But I think you're right. These guys still remain, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, 2 of the greatest of all time, and it's not outside the realm of possibility to think that one of these guys ends up in the Super Bowl one more time.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if I had to pick one of these quarterbacks to get close to a championship, I still would pick Tom Brady. And that's because his guys will get healthy. The thing about Aaron Rodgers, who played pretty good today, basically did all of his damage in the first half. His wide receivers, they lack experience. They're still trying to figure out who the number 1, number 2, number 3 guys are, right? We know who those guys are for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. They're just injured. You know, if you get Mike Evans, if you just happen to have Mike Evans in this ball game, the way the Buccaneers defense played, it's safe to say they probably would have been real close to winning this ball game, and they still lost by 2 points. But yes, these two guys are legends. They're the GOATs in their respectable era. And because of that, they will find a way to make this thing extremely interesting throughout the entire season in regards to the NFC.
All right, here we are taking a look at the fantasy recap. PPR scoring from this game. 20 points for Rodgers. Brady, 16 points, 271. A late touchdown salvages a little something for you. Romeo Doubs perhaps becoming Rodgers' favorite target here. 73 yards, a touchdown. Leonard Fournette, 11 fantasy points. Alan Lazard got some production via a touchdown as well.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.